Hello guys and welcome to my review of Voltron, Legendary Defenders, Season 5. I don't think I have talked about Voltron before, but I really wanted to talk about this season. I was actually going to do a review of the last season, but I thought it'd be weird if I hadn't talked about the previous seasons, but then this season was really good and I wanted to talk about it, so here we are, Season 5. I don't know how long this is gonna be. I have thoughts, I have notes, I might talk for a long time, I might not, we'll find out. But yeah, let's start with a few issues that I have with this season. Then we can go into like the good stuff, because we want to end with all the goodies and then we can start off with the not so goodies. But I only have 2 complaints. Complaint number 1, not enough Keith. From the beginning, Keith has been my favorite character. He's not anymore, and I think that's more or less due to the fact that he has almost 0 screen time at the moment. He was in 2, actually he was in 3 episodes, but in the first episode he kind of just appeared on a screen for 5 seconds. But he was in 2 episodes this season. And his role was kind of like, you know, he's not really done much, and the Blade of Memora hasn't done much either, because I feel like the thing that happened at Sarah could have perhaps been avoided slightly if they had communicated with Voltron, or Team Voltron, just like, yeah. But they didn't, and then we had the whole thing with Keith's mother, but we're gonna go into that later. And then my second complaint is not enough Hunk, and that's not because he doesn't have the screen time, but that's just because they forget his character as a character, and he's just there for the gags, and, I mean, he has some moments, but he doesn't have, like, he's yet to have a character arc, like, compared to Pitch, who in the last 2 seasons have just been Pitch, right? Keith has an entire thing going on. Like, despite the fact that he almost has no screen time, he still has his own character arc going on with his the fact that he's Hawkgara, he's and of course the mother plot, and like he has the whole thing going on. Lance, we're gonna go into his character later. Lyra has his thing. Like, Karan doesn't really, but I feel like even Karan is more developed than Hunk is. Which is a shame, because Hunk is supposed to be one of her main 5, and he barely has any screen time. Like, over the course of the 5 seasons, he's barely developed, and that's such a shame, because he's such a sweet guy. But, you know, we can always hope for the next season, and that's what we say all the time, but, like, please, give us more Hunk. But the good stuff now. See, that was the only 3 minutes of complaining. Okay, so we have the whole family reunion, more or less, which is really nice, because with last season we had the whole thing with Matt and Paige's entire journey to find her brother, and that was very emotional, that one episode. I watched it with my friend and she was just dying. And this episode, or this season / episode 1, kind of had the same thing with, oh, we think we might have a lead, and then we don't find him, and then it turns out he's just elsewhere. But in this situation, he had been captured, and then StarCon had him, and we had to do a hostage exchange, which was like a little bit more intense than the scene with Matt. But they get Papa Hole back. The thing is, I'm gonna ignore Lotor until the very end of this review, because I'm gonna talk a lot about him. But it was really great to have Papa Hole back, Sam, just because that kind of that concludes Pitch's not her entire arc, but it concludes what she wanted to do from the very beginning. Her brother and her father went missing, with Shiro. Shiro came back, no Matt, no Sam, and she was like, okay, I'm gonna find them, I'm gonna search the skies or whatever. And now she has found them, and they're safe, and she's gonna stay with Matt, and their father is gonna go back to Earth, which I find super interesting for 2 reasons. One, he's going back with messages from Lance, from Lance and Hunk. I don't think, those are the only 2 who have family back on Earth, who are obviously not Pitch. So yeah, they're gonna have some things with their family. Like that, I think that's really nice for me that gets addressed, because it's like they just disappeared into space. But yeah. But another thing that's really interesting is that Earth might finally play a role. Like, we've been all over the galaxy, and Earth is just like, it's where most of our heroes are from. But Earth doesn't really play a big role. It might play a role now. I really hope so, just to see what will happen. Like, one of the lions were on Earth, so... what's my next thing? Oh, Keith meeting up with his mom. I put all the family reunion in one little section because there was a lot of family stuff. So Keith goes on that one mission that ends up just being like him reconnecting with his mother. And I remember when I watched it the first time, I was like, oh, I mean, maybe this is not his mother, because how convenient was it that the guy whose name I've forgotten who gave him the mission was like, don't let your feelings let you cloud your ability to judge, blah blah blah. The mission comes first, your feelings come second. Your feelings have dictated your decisions before and stuff like that, like literally Carl Sarah. And then it just happens that he meets his mother. And that was a little like, okay, convenient. But at the same time, they look so much alike. They literally have the same design, except she's purple and a woman. So I think it's very much like, it would be the weirdest character design choice if she wasn't his mom. But we did not see Keith since then. We just saw so you're my... And then we saw nothing more. But I'd like to hear the story there, like, how did she go from... Or how did she, Agolra, end up with a human? The humans have literally no contact with aliens, basically. Had a child, left the child, and then became a spy for the Blade of Mamora. What's the story? What's Keith gonna do? But yeah. But this, I feel like, might be a turning point for Keith, hopefully. I really, really want him back with the main team. But we're gonna talk about, again, that later, just because there's a great opening for when we get the Kuro reveal that Keith can come back, because then they will be missing a paladin. But we can talk about Kuro later. No, we will talk about Kuro now. That's the next point in my notes. Because Kuro, if it was unclear before that Shiro is not real, then it's definitely confirmed now. We have Hagar saying that we're gonna go into current stage phase 4, which we don't know what that is. It might just be the ability to see through his eyes, as we know she's been doing throughout this season. I don't remember if she's done it before. I don't think she has. But my friend and I were discussing what it could mean, because what we have just been discussing, because no one really knows the nature of Curran, like what exactly is their goal with him, what do they want him to, what kind of person is he gonna be, the person who's gonna come in and murder them all, is he just a spy, is he just a way for Hagar to spy through him? We don't know. So my friend and I, we discussed, because Curran, especially in this season, has been very aggressive towards the other members of Voltron, and he's been, every time there has been like Lotor's side to take and the team side to take, he's always taken Lotor's side, and he's trusted Lotor more than them. But we discussed that the Phase 4 cannot be the change, because he changed from before they started Phase 4. So my friend and I kind of have this theory that Shiro is just, or Kuron is made so that he will be more likely to side with Galra people who have Galra blood, like Lotor, and it's also very convenient because Keith hasn't been here most of the time that Shiro has been here, or Kuron. So, you know, but we still don't, we actually don't, I don't know what phase 4 is. I have no idea what phase 4 is. But he's certainly getting more aggressive. But just, like, we have Hagar spying through Kuron, and that's like what she did with Narti, I think. Her name is very sorry. Just burping here. So the idea, I think, would be that, because it seems like right now that Lotor could be one who could definitely, or might, notice that Shiro isn't actually Shiro, and then there's Lance, obviously, who seems to be getting more and more suspicious of Kuron. I don't know what to call him. Let's just call him Kuron. Because, again, as I said, he's been more aggressive, and then there was the whole thing in the Void, where I'm pretty sure we saw real Shiro for the first time in, what, like, 3 seasons? So, yeah. It was, like, because before we've had, like, the one very clear, piece of proof that Shiro wasn't really Shiro with the way he escaped, because we saw 2 of him, and then it was just way too easy, for him to escape, and then they said, of course, Kuron stage 3 is underway or something, and obviously Kuro is a play on Shiro because it means black and white, so we had the hints for like those 3 minutes, and then since then it's been like, he's not really been that different. I mean, there have been times where they've been like, but people do change, and sometimes, like, yeah, stuff happens. But this season, I think it's been very, very clear that it's not Shiro, and obviously with all the extra hints, I think it makes a lot more sense that the reveal is gonna happen very soon. And I'm gonna talk about, actually let's talk about that now, just to end the Kuron thing. Because there might be a point where they're like, okay, someone is leaking intel from the inside out, because with Hagar being able to spy on them, obviously she's gonna have all the inside knowledge. And there's just gonna be a time where they have to figure out who the spy is. And there's a good chance they're gonna say it's Lotor, because why would it be anyone else? So I think at that point it's either up to Lotor to prove that he is on their side, or it's up to Lance or someone else. I don't know who might be suspicious at the time, but Lance or whoever, to say, okay, I think maybe we should look into Shiro, because he's also acting differently, and I had that one really weird experience in the Void. But I'll come back to Lotor and his trustworthiness later, because, let's talk about Lance first, though. Because Lance has this really, really good character arc throughout the entire season. Like, it was half forgotten, I think it was in season 2 or 3. But especially from last season until this one, where he's, like, last season he had really big confidence issues, and he even came to Keith and was like, I feel like a 5th or even a 7th wheel. Like, I'm just here to fill a seat, but now that we have 6 people who could be the paladins of Voltron, I don't really need to be here. And then there was that really good scene with him and Keith. But this season, he's been really gaining a lot of confidence. Like, he even, like, the scene where he gets where his Bayard changes into the Altean broadsword, oh, damn, that's such a good moment. And he's gaining more confidence. He's more outspoken, and he's more confident in the things he says, even though, of course, there are still moments where he's just, like, goofy, and there was that whole thing where Lotor and Allura were in the Orient, and he just disturbed Koran, Hong, and Paige as they were working, but he's very much in this season been very observant. He's been thinking, he's been outspoken, and he's had some really great character moments. I think it's episode 3 or 4, where he has that really good moment where they're all stuck in that tree virus thing, and he just has that really great anime moment of just like, yeah, the same episode where he gets his sword thing. Is there more here? Yeah, I think Lance's character arc has been really good. I think him and Pitch definitely. I think he's had more development, where Pitch has just had like, she's just had a lot of good moments especially reuniting with her family and just having been able to let that entire part of her journey go, because now she doesn't have to keep searching anymore. Now she can fully devote herself, I feel, to be a paladin of Voltron, because before there was always the thing, if they had a mission and there was a lead to one of her family members, she would always choose her family before that, but now she doesn't have that issue anymore because they're safe. So I think that's really great for the both of them. So it's definitely gonna make the team stronger. Okay, Lotor, let's talk about Lotor. Oh my god, he's such a big thing in this season. Holy crap. Oh, I'm just gonna say from the get-go, I love him. Like, no matter if he's on our side or not, I think he's such a great character. I said in the beginning, Keith is no longer my favorite character, because Lotor is. Lotor is now my favorite character, and I love this guy so much. I mean, okay, first of all, he killed Sarkon. Oh my god, I can't... he killed Sarkon. I kind of, like, it took me a while to just, like, realize that Sarkon is gone. I mean, I've seen theories that he might get revived or whatever. But I think that will kind of ruin it. It was such a good moment, though, with how the light just hit his face and he just looked there like, because he's the light shining on the Galra Empire. Lotor, man, Lotor. But he also became emperor. He's an actual Altian nerd. I just really love him. There's so many good things about him. Like, I'm gonna discuss whether or not he would betray us later. And I say us because I will be really sad if he, like, stabs them in the back. But there were so many good moments with him. I mean, the hostage exchange, where he just goes and he goes past Sam, and you know from that moment he knows he's a hologram. Like, I was like, the moment they started walking, I was like, that guy's a hologram. There's no doubt about it. There's no way Zarkon is not gonna make that a hologram. But you just have him go past and you have, like, his eyes shifting, and then he's just standing there, and then everyone is waiting, and then he just pulls out the black bear and starts attacking Sarkon. God damn it, that was so cool. And that entire fight was so good, especially, like, the finishing blow. Really, really good. And I really loved the small, like, right at the end you had Sarkon, who was about to attack Lotor, who was pretty much defenseless at that point, and you have the paladins come in and save Lotor. Then you have Sarkon in return trying to fire at some of the lions, I don't know, or one of the ships, and you have Lotor coming from behind and just stabbing him. Oh, it was such a good moment. And then you go further into you go into the Crosshair episode, and he arrives fashionably late in the Black Lion, and he just comes out and is like, I am your rightful emperor. I murdered my father, and I am the strongest Galra here. I brought the Black Lion back to the Galra, and I will become emperor. And he just, like, there are the cool fights, and you had a little moment with Keith, which is, like, practically useless. The only thing that shows is that Keith lets his emotion get the better of him, and that he to some extent trusts Lotor because he was worried for both Lotor and Shiro. So I suppose there was a conversation somewhere we didn't get. But then, like, my favorite moment of all of Voltron, of everything that has happened in this dumb series, is Lotor ascending the stairs with the torch and then lighting the damn shit on fire. Oh my god, that moment was so good, especially with, like, all the fighting going on in the background and just, like, the music and just, oh, god damn, it was so cool. I watched that scene like 5 times and it's still so good. What else do I have here? Oh yeah, he's a nerd. He's just so damn cute about all of this stuff. I mean, we're gonna go into why he might be lying about. Maybe I don't think he's lying about his knowledge, and I don't think he's lying about, like, anything he's saying. But maybe he could be lying about his intentions. But we'll talk about that. But He has so many soft looks. I might like put some pictures in here just because he's so damn cute. It's everything about we got so much Lotor in this season. I was so because before the season started, my one thing was I want more Lotor, and I want him to interact with the team, because I think that could be really interesting, because we knew from when he practically gave himself over, he was gonna try to help them, because he ultimately wants Sarkon gone, and we know he wants change. We've never really known what exactly he wants, because he's been kind of shady about everything, and he's known to lie a bit. So I was like, I want some quality interactions, because I kind of assumed they would just have him locked up and then bring him like to a few episodes whenever he was needed, right? And he was just there all the time, and he became Emperor, and he got a lot of power, and he's good friends with him, and him or Allura, like, oh my god. It's the entire White Line episode was just too much for me. Okay, but let's discuss Lotor just for a second, because oh my god, what's talking for 21 minutes. But yeah, actual analysis rather than me just, I'm just getting my notes ready here, rather than me just like rambling about nothing, why I love Lotor. Okay, so I'm probably gonna make an argument for why I think we should trust him rather than why I think he's untrustworthy, although I am definitely not ruling out the possibility that he could betray us because of something. But just because throughout watching the season, I had this nagging feeling, like, I feel like a lot of people have, like, this episode, he's gonna betray us, this episode, he's gonna betray us, this episode, we're gonna find out that what he's doing is just not good, and it never really came. Like, throughout the entire season, he stayed loyal, he helped the team out, and they're working together toward a common goal, which is peace. And so knowing that in this season, at the very least, he can't betray us, rewatching the entire series, or most of it, I skipped a few parts, because, it was very enjoyable to watch the entire thing, and because I know I've been wrong about this before, when I watched Legend of Korra originally, it was so hard for me to enjoy scenes with Asami, because I was like, oh my gosh, she's gonna betray us, she's gonna be evil, she's gonna betray us, and it never freaking happens. So I basically had the enjoyment of going back to watch the first season and being like, oh, Asami's on our side, it's good, it's fine. And I feel like I'm having the same exact feelings with Lotor, except there is still a possibility that he could betray us because the series isn't over. And unlike with Asami, obviously, he was introduced as a bad guy. But from the get-go, one of the first things he does in this season is that he gives Team Voltron a lot of intel. And when they go down and they're like, oh, all your intel checked out, and he's like, well, maybe you should trust me. And they're like, oh no, because you're a Galra, and you're a son of Sarkon, and you've done all these things, and blah, blah, blah. And at some point he's like, okay, look, this is what I've been doing. I did these things before, this is my reason for it, but now I've been doing all these good things, and I would like for you to judge me by my actions and not by my race. Which we know Allura has a bad tendency to do, although she has been very, very good at making up for those things. She's apologized to Keith and all this stuff, so it's all good at this point. Also because her relationship, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, and the thing is, the thing I really, really love about this, is not that it's very cliche, just say, oh, judge me by my actions and not by who you think I am, but because if Lotor really, like, if he was doing everything in his power to make these people trust him, it would have been so goddamn easy for him to sway Allura by saying, hey, I'm not full Gara, I'm half Gara and half Altean. Because we know that, like, there are 2 Alteans left. Right? We have Allura and we have Koran. And having then, Lotor, who seems to be knowing, or has, like, a lot of knowledge about Altean culture, that would be so easy to betray Allura, but he waits until they actually trust him to tell them, oh, by the way, I'm the son of Minerva. Like, she was so shocked to learn that he was half Altean. So I think that, like, at least that suggests that at least he's playing the long game when it comes to trust. Playing the long game doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna trust me until I die because I am loyal. That could just mean that he plans to use them for a long time. But I really, really like that inclusion that he's not, like, he's literally going by that. Like, don't judge me by who you think I am. Just judge me by what I'm actually doing because I am trying to help. And I really, really like that scene. Okay, so the most, discussed, I think, scene with Lotor in relation to should we trust him or should we not trust him is the White Lion scene. Because, obviously him and Allura, they both faced the White Lion, and Allura, she gave herself up, she didn't fight, and that was the way to gain knowledge. Whereas Lotor just immediately went victory or death. And a lot of people took that as, oh, well, that means he's evil. I think that's dumb. There are a lot of good arguments for why we should not trust Lotor. I think that is the dumbest argument. Because Lotor and Allura, they have had two completely different upbringings. Allura was raised like within the Altean culture, and the Altean culture is a peaceful one. It values peace. It does not value violence or fighting in any way, shape, or form. It values peace. And obviously, since what they were trying to gain here was knowledge about Altean alchemy, it would make sense that the Altean values are what's needed to gain this knowledge. Whereas Galra culture, they value violence. Like their entire culture is based upon violence. Like, I went back to watch the very first episode where that Lotor is introduced in, and he talks about how the Galra, they fight their way through the ranks. They fight their way to honor through honorable combat. Like, that's their way of life. Honorable combat is how they get anywhere in life. Like, just look at Kral Sera again. The entire coronation ceremony is about taking a torch up the stairs to light this flame, and to do so you just have to walk up the steps, but anyone is allowed to kill you at any point, because it's survival of the fittest. It's whoever's the strongest gets to light the freaking flame, because the Galra value fighting and violence and combat. So it makes so much sense that the first instinct you have when the big ass white lion comes and attack you, obviously as a Galra who has been raised in Galra culture, would start fighting. Especially a person like Lotor. Lotor has his entire life been an outsider. He's always been seen as weak because he had Altean blood. He was exiled by his father. He was sent to do this thing with the planet, and when he didn't obey by doing things the right Galra way, he was punished and everyone was destroyed. And just, like, Lotor has been through so much. Like, he's a child of abuse. Obviously, the first thing he's gonna do when he's attacked is to defend himself, and he's gonna go back on his instincts, and at this point in time, his instincts are victory or death. That's how he's been raised. That's how he's lived his entire life, because that's how he's survived all this time. So I think that's a really bad argument. Again, I think there are plenty of good arguments, because again, if we go back to the very first time he was introduced, he appears in this arena, he wins a couple of fights, and he talks about, oh, we're gonna redefine what the Galra Empire is. We're gonna make it even better and stronger by, instead of subjugating our our colonies or whatever he said. We're gonna work alongside the people, and we're gonna allow them to rise through our ranks and work with them instead of having them under us. And he like works up with this like, the Galra Empire is so strong and we're gonna make it even stronger. And then the moment he leaves the crowds and he goes back to his commanders, captains, the people he's with, his generals, he's like, oh, the masses are so easily manipulated. Because so he is introduced as a liar and a manipulator. We can't say that he's not, but at the same time, we're gonna talk about like, he may be a liar and manipulator, but we don't have to talk about what are his actual intentions, because if he's a liar and manipulator towards the people, like the Galra, the evil Galra, but he's a friend of Voltron, then it doesn't matter that he lies and manipulates, because it's in our favor and we're in a time of war, so it's probably okay. What else? There's also the Lotor and Allura thing, which I think that's really cute. I think that, like, because where I follow the Voltron fandom, it's all about the shipping, and for me, up until now, there hasn't really been a ship that's, like, had any chemistry, really. Like, I've seen, like, obviously you can ship what you want, but I think the Lotor and Allura thing right now seems like the most, not necessarily likable ship. I mean, obviously I ship it. I think it's really cute. But I think it just, that seems to be a thing that the writers very intentionally have been writing towards, and whether it's to show that Lotor is indeed manipulating her, or if it's just because they're a good match. Because the thing is, if he's not manipulating, if everything he's doing right now is genuine, they would be such a good couple. Especially for Lotor. Lotor has lived his entire life wanting to reconnect to his Altean heritage. And he's gone around the world and explored and learned about this culture that he was never really allowed to discover and experience, because the Galra wiped everything out. And then here's Allura, who's full Altean, and she was raised by King Alfor, and it's just, for him that'd be really good. And it's also for Allura, I think, because Allura has had this really long this long period of time where she really discriminated against Galra, and I think for her to fall in love with someone who's at least part Galra, I think that'd be a really nice way for her to enter arc, because she's been working towards not being prejudiced, like if there was that really awkward time with Keith. So I just think that for their stories that'd be really interesting. Also, it would just be a better ending to Sarkon and Unnerva, Sarkon and Alfor. So I think just symbolically, and for the characters, I think it'd be great. But obviously, it depends on where the writers are going with this. What else have I? All right, I want to talk about like a few, perhaps theories. I don't know what to call them for season 6, which comes out in June. Too long. I 6 episodes for each season is not enough. But you know, because I really want Lotor to be a good guy. I want him to be on our side, and I don't want him to betray us. I would love for the main conflicts to be with Hagar, and I would want it, and with Kuron. Because I don't know how much we have left of this series, because it feels like, especially if Lotor ends up being on our side, it feels like it's starting to wrap up. Although we still have so many loose story ends, holy crap, and please, more Hunk, please. But I think at some point, the Voltron team, they're gonna figure out that there's a spy. And I've said this before, like, maybe they have to choose between Lotor and Shiro. And I just really, really hope that, like, it'd be so interesting for them if if they think, okay, Lotor is the spy, there's no way Lotor is not the spy, and then like they cut off ties with him, whatever, and then they find out, frick, it's not Lotor. I think that would be a really interesting plotline, especially if Lotor remains loyal to them, because I think he would understand, like, if there's a spy, it would make, like, he would be the first one they'd suspect, just because, you know, their history with him, not the best history, not the worst history, but not the best history. So I would really love for Lotor to go through the ultimate loyalty test and really just pass it with flying colors. But I also really want, I want to know how the Shiro thing will go down, because I always thought that it would be Keith who would figure it out, because Keith seems to be the one who's closest to Shiro, so therefore it would be easier for him to like discern, okay, there's something wrong here. But of course, as I've said, with this season, it seems to be more like Lance. But there's also the parallel with Narti, I think her name is, where Hagar was using her to spy on Lance and his generals, and Lotor and his generals, and Lotor just straight up killed her. There's a theory that that's gonna happen, and obviously if he just straight up kills Kuran without the team knowing it's Kuran, he's not gonna come off in a great light. So that might also be a source of angst and just conflict. Another place we might have like some angst from is Lotor and Hagar, because we had that really great scene of Lotor and Allura in Hagar's lair, and it's pretty apparent that Lotor has definitely thought about, and it is probably somewhere aware that Hagar and Minerva are the same person, but he just refuses to believe it, or refuses to see them as the same person, or something to that like. But now that Minerva / Hagar has remembered that Lotor is her son, there's definitely gonna be some angst there. Like, Lotor has to face reality at some point, and I would really love for that to be his vulnerable moment, because we have not seen him be vulnerable. Like, I don't need him to cry. I do love when my favorite characters cry, just because, again, I love when they're, like, exposed and they're feeling things. Because he did have, like, he was feeling, like, not quite fine after he had killed Sarkhan, because despite how much he hated the guy, it was still his father. So I really want to see what that interaction will be like, and how they will talk, because when they met at Kral Sera, their interactions were more or less, you are not Fulgara, so you cannot lead the Galra, and Lotor's just like, you are just a witch, you're just using your puppet to blah 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 blah, because everybody hates Hagar, so yeah. But I just really want, see, we got so much Lotor, and I just want more Lotor, but I also want Keith back in the main group. I want Hunk to have a character arc, please. Yeah, and I want Kuran exposed. And I would also like the real Shiro back, please. I know there's also this other theory going around that Matt found the real Shiro in that first episode. But I think that would be very unlikely, because why would he not tell anyone that, oh, I found this other Shiro? Who is our Shiro then? Is he the real one? Did I find the real one? What is happening? But we'll see. Have I left anything out? Possibly, but I've also been talking for 40 minutes now, so, yeah, is no one even, I don't know, but yeah, please let me know in the comments what you thought of this season. I thought it was really good. I think this might actually be my favorite season of Voltron since season 2, maybe season 3, it's blending together for me, but I think definitely better than the 2 last, or definitely the last season. I don't know, but yeah, I really enjoyed this season. I thought it was really good. I only had those 2 minor complaints, and the Hunk thing I complained about every single time, though. I say that except I haven't, but you know, this is the first video I'm making. But yeah, we can talk more about Voltron at some other point, maybe in June when the next season comes out. But yeah, you can leave a like, leave a comment, and you can subscribe for more Voltron stuff maybe in the future, I don't know. And until next time, bye.